So I said to her, you need to get the energy flowing from inside leg to outside rein. You know. Anyway, hey boys, should we crack into it?
Hi, this is Blythe Tate, and you're listening to Eventing Weekly with Mitch and Brayden.
Nick.
Well, that was Blythe Tate.
The one and the only.
But
The one and the only.
we're sitting here with Nick Brooks. Nick Brooks, g'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
Mitch, this is our first ever eventing podcast, and how good does it feel to be sitting here with Nick Brooks?
I mean, we couldn't be sat in a more magical place, could we? Badgerstown, Wiltshire, the sun's shining. What more could we ask for?
It feels,
Technological problems overcome. We're into it.
I mean, yeah, sure, we've turned up and there's been a lot of technical issues. You know, some people will say we're in over our head. Mitch, you and I...
We know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. And that's why we've set up this podcast, Nick. You know, for years, people have been coming up to us. No, seriously, they come up to us in the street all the time.
All
Mitch.
the time.
Yeah.
On the middle of a cross-country course. We'll
And
be
they
doing
just-
a walk
know-
and people come up and we just
Inside
can't
leg
get
to
rid of
outside,
them.
right?
Yeah, well, they're coming up to us and they're saying, boys, we love what you're about. We need more content, you know? So, you know, after a lot of public pressure, I mean, how much do you get?
Every weekend.
Mitch is out at Equireel.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not even with Jenny.
he's trying to set
Who's
up...
Ginny?
Yeah, and we're getting a lot of public pressure. So so we thought we'd chuck this thing together and give it a bit of a nudge. And we thought, who better to kick things off than our dear friend,
Nick Brooks.
Nick Brooks.
And honestly, I'm completely honoured. What a privilege.
Nick, it's our privilege to have you here kicking things off. We're here, as Mitch said, we're sitting here at Badgerstown on a lovely, lovely Monday evening. And we will kick things off in a second. I thought I'd just frame up how this thing's going to work. So, Nick, each week we have a special guest on. That's you for this week.
And each week you put those gilets on?
I mean...
Just once in a week?
No, they never come off.
They never come off.
This is us.
They never come off. But what we do is, Mitch and I have put a lot of admin in. We've put together 5 questions each for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to alternate through and really try to peel back the layers and paint a picture of who Nick Brooks is. So, Mitch.
Should we start them off?
Yeah, I think.
right.
Have you got the first question?
I do.
Hit me.
Nick, so you've ended up on the other side of the world,
As have we all.
as have we all. Brought here by horses, nonetheless.
For better or worse. Richer or
Definitely for
poorer.
better. Yep, all of the above. How does your journey start? Take us back to your very first horse ride or whatever got you inspired into horses, and why did you go to eventing?
And just before you do, Mitch, great question.
Thank you.
In terms of, you know, when I pictured this podcast and us kicking things off, a question like that is exactly what I thought you would bring to this podcast. So great work.
Yeah, I spent hours researching.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick, as you were.
Well, how did we kick off?
Yeah.
Just a nerd that liked ponies.
Yeah.
Bothered my parents until I got one.
What age are we talking here?
Dinky turned up covered in tinsel on my 7th birthday after years of badgering.
Yeah.
And I think they hoped it was a phase, but it definitely wasn't.
It wasn't a
And here we
phase.
all are.
So how long
Snowballed.
did Dinky stick around?
Dinky was a bit of a mainstay. She was
She?
very small. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 10 hands.
That is
Really small.
this small.
Well, I was going to ask, is that a lot of tinsel or a very small horse? And I guess you've answered.
Both,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fair amount of tinsel and a fair amount of horse.
Yeah. The clue's in the name, Dinky.
Yeah. And that's what kicked it off for you.
Yeah. Snowballed, and here we all are.
How long was your relationship with Dinky, was it?
I don't know, a couple of seasons of Pony Club.
Yeah.
Outgrew her.
And was that
quite lanky? She
was-
wasn't big enough. Needed a bigger one.
what is Pony Club for the non-eventers out there? Not that that's Brayden and I. We know
No, I
exactly
could-
what that is, but
I
just,
mean, we
just
could-
for the listener,
We could go on.
just for the listener who doesn't know what's happening.
The listener that doesn't know what's happening, Pony Club is when you're, a weird kid from New Zealand, aged circa 8 or 9, and you need to learn about your ponies, and you need to learn how to look after them, and they teach you all that shit.
And so then how do you branch out into eventing? What made you get into that as opposed to showing or dressage or show jumping?
Team chasing.
Team chasing.
This is
Hunter
actually going to
trials.
be literally the nerdiest answer you will ever get on this show. But as soon as I figured out what a Mark Todd was, I was like, I want to be a Mark Todd. That's really cool.
Wow.
I want to do that.
Look where you've ended up.
And here we all are.
Here we all are.
Here
Jeez,
we
what
all
a story.
are. What a story, what a start, Mitch.
Yeah.
You know, you've really outdone yourself.
Hey, thanks, mate. I hope you've got something to follow up with.
Well,
on
I
that.
do have something to follow up, and it flows on quite nicely from that question, Mitch. My question for you, Nick, is, you know, from eventing in New Zealand to eventing in the UK, quite different. I was just wondering what your expectations were versus
the reality.
the reality.
It came as a complete surprise that I didn't immediately win badminton 3 times in 1 year, make every New Zealand Nations Cup team, and take over the world with 10 gold medals hanging around my neck.
Perfect.
Yeah, Insta versus reality has been quite different.
And what has the reality been for you in your experience of the UK? You know, how long have you been here now?
Just ticked over 4 years, and COVID was a bit of a plot twist when we got here, as I think it was for all 3 of us.
Wasn't it just?
Wasn't it a dream?
Yeah. Wow.
Loves an apocalypse. What could make eventing more complicated than it already is? A global apocalypse. Yeah, hasn't really worked out how I thought, but it's worked out better than I could have ever hoped, because here I am at Badgerstown and getting shit going.
Good to hear, mate.
Good to hear.
Good to hear. I'm going to chuck it over to you, Mitch.
Yeah.
Question number
And
3.
so you mentioned that Mark Todd was your reason behind getting into horses and eventing, but I want to know, what is your favourite memory from eventing? Doesn't have to be your own. It could be someone else, a close friend, perhaps, winning a
talking
certain show.
Ready Teddy, you know, watching Ready Teddy go around Pretoni.
I'm talking charisma.
1992. You're talking Mark Todd charisma.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
You know, these are some of our from the sideline.
Yeah.
You know,
it was
event
Ready Teddy
memories.
for you. Yeah.
For me, Ready Teddy, 1992. Pretoni.
92.
Was it not?
Pretoni.
That's how I remember it.
Yep. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
There was at least a bronze medal in there somewhere.
For you?
My actual favourite eventing memory.
Yeah. It could be anything.
I wish you'd given me these questions before we started.
Well, that's the
But
beauty of the pod. You
Is
know?
it?
You know.
They look this stunned, confused, and inarticulate.
Yeah, I mean,
Love that for me.
it's like a tango. It's like a dance.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is we're putting one foot in front of the other. And we're just
I think-
leading it.
You meant to cross them over for a tango.
I mean, I don't want to let the details get in the way. That's not what I would like to do. But you know, we're leading you into you know, an area that you're well prepared for. So, I mean, what's the analogy you like to use, Mitch? It's the young horse, isn't it?
It is the young horse, but I think I was saying it to you the other day, wasn't I?
You were.
You've got to take them from a young horse, and you've got to just build the relationship and take them the whole way through.
And that's just like a podcast.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
We're here to hold your hand.
Yeah, we're going to lead you
We're
through
not going
this.
to
Oh,
take
really,
you
Mitch?
out as a 5-year-old to a 3-star.
This feels like I'm a 5-year-old in a 3-star. This feels very elite.
Yeah, but you're a high-performing
Do you know what?
5-year-old.
I'm just going to...
Yeah.
I try. Knees up.
Yeah.
My favourite eventing memory would have to be Houghton last year, the Sunday. Picture it. We've been there all the week. It's gone like moderately well. As
I do
eventing.
remember it.
Yeah,
It was
you were there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was.
Anyway, I'm walking the show jumping, and I look in the distance. I'm like, God, who's that hot guy over by the side of the arena?
I know where this is
I'm
going.
supposed to be focusing. But I'm like, shit. Hi. Who was it, Mitch?
I don't know. You tell me. This is your story. Was it me?
Was it you?
It was me. It was.
The
Of
Houghton
course it was
Hottie
me.
is hard to
The
pin down.
Houghton
But it
Hottie.
was actually, long story short, it was Mitch.
It was
So
me.
we're talking all-time favourite eventing memory.
Yeah. Babe spotting at Houghton last year.
Shout out Ginny
I'll take
Thomason.
that. Yeah. Who?
A plus, Ginny.
Yeah.
Well picked.
Well, she's done well, hasn't she?
Very.
Ginny Thomason. Slight
I
little
mean,
brand change recently.
it is slight brand change.
Well played, you.
Took long enough, from what I've heard, but all good things take their time.
That's a hell of a memory, you know,
That's a great memory.
and one I think
Eventing for life.
one I think a lot of us can relate to. Hey, should we kick on? And The next question we have.
Do you want me to do that again with like an actual eventing memory?
No, mate, this is live. We're raw. We don't
Okay.
have
Yeah.
cutouts or take
We
backs.
don't restart this thing.
This thing's
Never.
No.
No. So the next question we have for you is actually it's a fan question. So one of our fans has sent us a little voice note, and they wanted to ask the question themselves. So let's listen.
Hi guys, Clarke Johnstone here, big fan of the show. My question for Nick is around trot up fashion, just his thoughts on what's hot, what's not right now, and perhaps if he could talk us through some of his iconic looks over the years.
Yeah, I'm very happy to pick this up. Do you know what's not hot is jeans at the trot up? Absolutely hate it. You're not trying hard enough.
Preach.
I don't care if they're expensive jeans. I don't care how well they fit you. I don't
Amen.
care how good your ass looks in them, even the hard and hottie.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Man or woman.
Man or woman.
Yeah.
Jeans are out. No. Sneakers are out.
Sneakers are out.
Yeah, sneakers
Preach.
are out.
Preach, Nick. Continue.
What about the gilet?
What about it? For trot up fashion?
Yeah. No, we'll go.
Or day to day?
Well, no, we're talking trot ups here. I believe it was Clark's talking about the trot ups.
Yes, Clarke
We're
quite
going-
clearly wanted.
Clarke is an icon of trot up fashion as taught
Mhm.
by me. He doesn't even know the word gilet.
Okay. So
Perfect.
I
And
think
rightly so.
another and just take a moment there. Just a quick thank you to Clarke. Big fan of the show, as he mentioned.
Big fan of the show. Yeah.
And just really, when I talked at the start about peeling the layers back and starting to paint the picture of who Nick Brooks is, I think Clark's just nailed the brief. So shout out Clarke. I think one of the things he asked was your specific trot outfits,
Yeah.
and he wanted to hear about maybe some of the types of outfits you've put together in the past, or what's hot for you.
What's hot for me? Look, Clarke and I have spent a lot of time on trot up outfits. Mostly me helping him. Mostly me lending him clothes. But I think the most iconic of our mutual trot up outfits is the blue chinos that I first wore and looked fucking amazing in.
I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it.
Rightly not. I think I maybe debuted them at Taupo. I couldn't even fathom a guess with the year, but I think there was a bow tie involved, maybe purple, and some really good Johnny Depp sunglasses.
Ooh.
Anyway, Clarke took the chinos, made them a little bit more famous than I had at Taupo, coming circa 15th in the, as it was 1 star, by winning the Adelaide 5-star and looking fucking great in the trot up at them.
And he wore those in the trot up.
Yeah.
And are we talking a skinny fit boot cut, boyfriend cut? Are we talking?
What's a boyfriend cut?
I think it's a cut that normally the girls wear, ironically.
Mm.
But when
And what does that entail specifically?
when I racked my brain for types of cuts, that's
yeah.
the only one that's where I landed. So I was hoping by that point you'd come in with the type of cut it was.
They're like a chino. So
Standard cut.
A
Standard.
standard cut. A
Yeah.
standard cut.
Yeah.
They're like not tight, not
the
baggy.
slim taper.
Yeah.
Slim
I would say
taper.
a slim taker. They're not very packagey,
Mm.
but they are a lovely color.
Perfect.
You can probably accompany this with a photo of me wearing them, not Clarke. 'Cause
Okay.
Yeah.
I did wear it better.
Yeah, we'll be sure to.
They've come back. They actually, to be fair, were also at Houghton last year.
I was going to say, I thought these looked familiar.
The chinos have
That's
been around
what
for
it
a
is.
while. Yeah,
The Brotherhood of the Travelling Chinos.
Mm.
You know?
that's what I bring to eventing.
They've travelled around the world.
Keep an eye out. Mitch,
Yeah. Look out.
what have we got lined up coming up
Next
for
question.
the next question?
So, 4 years, Nick, you've been in the UK now. What, in your opinion, is your favourite part about the UK?
Of the UK,
Yeah, part of or thing about, either or. You let me know.
part of geographically or thing about
Thing about. We'll go thing about.
the UK itself or the British people?
I mean, we don't
I
want to
mean-
put limits on you, Nick.
Yeah, just what comes to your head when you think UK? You're like, amazing. Oh my god, the is to die for.
Is it like uncool to say pub culture?
No,
No, absolutely not.
we can definitely get around
Yeah,
pub
we
culture.
can get behind that.
Pub culture and pub dog culture.
That is the thing I like about England is you can take your dog everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I had a beautiful spaniel in New Zealand.
Mm.
His name was Jasper,
Mm.
the best spaniel that ever lived.
Shout out, Jasper.
Shout out Jasper. And in New Zealand, you can't take him like anywhere. Shows are grumpy about it. You definitely can't take him to the pub.
That is
Jasper
one
spent a
thing.
lot of time at home while I did other cool stuff. And the thing about England that I like the most is that I can take my new spaniel Violet literally everywhere,
Shut up, Violet.
Shout out Violet.
apart from to this podcast, because
Wow, you know, technological
just
difficulties.
focusing.
That actually, Nick, has brought forward a question I was going to ask you a bit later on.
Okay, we'll jump
But
into
while
it.
we're talking about pubs, what's the best one around here? Where are we
Oh.
going after this?
New Kelly Arms, Wanborough, less than a mile away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's so good about it? Is it the roasts?
The roasts. I mean, it's a bit of a piss off, to be honest, because they have just won a giant award on social media for local Swindon. So not actually giant. But
Swindon's
long
pretty big.
story short, they do a great roast. They won an award for it, and now you can't book a table
Oh, wowee.
Wowee.
without 6 weeks planning in advance, which doesn't really work for me.
And I
Doesn't
mean,
work for most eventers. Sorry
no,
to
it
cut in
doesn't. But it's just an insight into the power of Soshmed, really, isn't it?
Soshmed.
Yeah. Or social media.
I got that.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of social media, you can join Eventing Weekly on Facebook, Instagram, and we've even now got a TikTok. So
there. Look out. Here we come.
it was just
We're
just
going to do
s-
like a TikTok dance.
no that
Well,
we're more so there's different trends that go well on TikTok. Dancing, sure, that's one of them, but educational. That's another big one. People wanting to learn.
yeah. People have asked,
And here
been
we all
asking
are.
for course walks.
Do you know what you need to tell them, Brayden?
I'm listening.
Inside league to outside Brayden.
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
Let the people know.
It's funny you should mention that. Well, a nice little insight into the local community and the pub culture. If I can change gears a little bit and talk about community. And, you know, in the UK, we know there is a strong New Zealand-based eventing community. And I was just
The
wondering,
biggest there's ever been at the moment, I believe.
that's what they're saying.
I'm told.
And I was just interested on hearing your thoughts on the New Zealand eventing community based in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, how important is that community for you as a, socially, people to lean on for business, as a support network, just whatever, really. Having peers going through this, swimming in the same ocean, if you will.
Yeah, well, back to the start, it is a bit of an island of success and an ocean of despair. And swimming through the same ocean in an ocean that's very far away from the ocean you started in, it does mean a lot.
It's a big old ocean.
It's a really big ocean.
Big old
There's a lot
ocean.
of big fish in this ocean.
And if you missed earlier, I was sharing with Nick a little story, my first eventing memory with Nick, and it was I said Martangi, wasn't it? Clarke Johnstone's place, Martangi. We were watching badminton, and
It had a little top knot, as I recall.
I was starting a trend. It caught on, and then I got rid of it.
It did. I was not sure about it at the time, but
And
it did catch on.
the first memory I have of Nick Brooks is him explaining eventing to me as an island of happiness and an ocean of despair. And
In an ocean of despair.
in an ocean of despair. Noted, noted. And that's something you stand by?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. We're swimming with you, brother. We're swimming.
I've been swimming for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mitch,
But we're still going strong.
Breaststroke?
I was just going to say we're really far.
Butterfly.
Whatever I can do to keep afloat.
Literally.
Whatever stroke.
Eventing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Mitch knows the gig, people. Keep listening.
I don't mean to interrupt as you're embroiled in swimming stroke chat, but I just note we're flying through the questions now. We're at number 7, and I think 7 was going to be your pub question, wasn't it?
It
Mitch?
was.
So it's
So I
going to
think
it's going to come back to me, Nick. We don't mean to confuse you, but
circle back around to Brayden.
we're going to circle around, and it's back to me. And my question for you, Nick, is if you were to put together an itinerary for your perfect night out in Hamilton.
What?
I'm coming. And where are you starting? Where are your pre's? Is there a BYO? Are you going going to a Keystone or a CBD or something for pre-drinks? And then where are you ending up? I want to hear your perfect night out in the city of the future.
Okay. This is pulling at a lot of my heartstrings. The Tron, for people who don't know, is where Brayden and I started.
You know, it's our spiritual home.
Yeah.
Most people tend
Sorry,
to avoid
I
it.
lost concentration. I was just caught up in... What was the question?
Your perfect
Night out in the Tron.
Yeah.
Okay, so my perfect night out in the Tron starts circa 12 years ago.
Okay, 2011.
Quick maths.
Maybe like 14 years ago.
So
Anyway, it starts in the loft, which is where I used to live, above my stables at my yard in New Zealand, which has held many an iconic party. I'm describing my sister's 18th. We then all get loaded into the back of the lorry, driven to the clubs in the city. The ramp of the lorry comes down.
amazing.
Out we get.
Amazing.
How many people are in the back of
Resplendent.
this lorry?
About 25.
God, how English are we calling it a lorry, by the way?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Gertrude
man.
was
Yeah.
a truck,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Gertrude is not a fucking lorry.
We need to remember our roots here.
Anyway, main street of the Tron, the ramp comes down, out we get. I think we went straight to the Outback,
Iconic.
which was jumping in deep, but here we all are.
Mm.
Shout out my little sister Tash on your 18th was a highlight of my life.
Are you doing any backdrafts?
We're not there yet, Brayden.
Oh, sorry.
You've jumped straight to Monkey Feather, haven't you?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm circa 2010 to 2012, and in that era, maybe they'd stolen it from Monkey Feather, but the Outback was doing backdrafts. Yeah,
You're a bit younger than me, though, to be fair. The
I'm-
backdrafts were originally a Monkey Feather
Is
thing.
that where they? Is that?
Yeah,
their
and
roots?
Monkey Feather wasn't where you think it is. It was up a very long flight of stairs.
Not downstairs.
No, it was, you know where Altitude was? On that
yeah,
street?
around the corner.
Yeah. So across the road from that, not at the car dealership, like 2 doors down,
Oh yeah.
there was like a sneaky little weird looking door and then a flight of stairs like 3 flights up. And you
Really?
came out if you could get up the stairs, which
Sure.
wasn't always a sure thing.
Sure. It was a different time.
It was a different time. You came out in the middle of the stage.
Amazing.
Amazing.
How good. So you've
I
gone.
spent some time at Monkey Feather.
Okay, so I didn't mean to skip ahead, but so you started out back, maybe a few drinks, cut a few shapes,
Yeah.
and then you're moving on to Monkey Feather.
For the backdraft. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
And Brayden, probably as an Eventing Weekly, describing guy,
Yes.
what's a backdraft?
Oh, wow. So I can't even remember what the liqueur or the alcohol is that they use, but all I remember is they cover it, light it on fire, and then do you inhale the smoke? Is that how it worked?
I
Is
went
it?
to Hamilton one time and I did this.
Did you?
Except it was out of it. No, it wasn't. We'll stop that there.
Settled down.
Yeah. No, I've never heard of a backdraft.
Never heard of a backdraft.
before.
Well, as a podcast that's quite in tune with our listeners, we're actually quite popular in the Tron, and I think that's going to really hit home for a lot of our core fans.
Dinsdale's listening.
Hello, Dinsdale, and all of that Hamilton West community in the Waikato. Are we happy to park it there for the Hamilton night out? Or are there any afters?
I mean, there were a few more
I
steps
think
from that, but we probably should park it there.
Yeah, I mean, for health and safety reasons, maybe we put a pin in it and
And the sanity of our listeners.
Yeah,
'Cause
Fire
I
Cats
have
was where it
no
ended.
idea what the hell just happened there.
oh yeah.
I still don't know how to have a night out in Hamilton, but
Well, we'll talk you through it one day, mate. Hey,
One
what do you
day
got?
we'll get back there.
What do you got for us there, Mitch?
we're gonna swing around back to the horses here. And
Plot twist.
Yeah. It's a long way to come over here. It's a long flight. Horses have to get here somehow. Would you recommend flying a horse over from New Zealand? Or would you sell them in New Zealand and start fresh again here?
What a question.
Yeah.
Was this directed at
Well,
Is it
YRs and NZ?
Sorry?
young riders?
YRs and NZ? Know your
Maybe
acronyms?
a bit of advice, yeah. If you've got any for them. I mean, Brayden, you've gone through this whole situation as well.
Yeah. Brayden, what would you say?
Well, I wouldn't want to, jump in ahead of you, but what I would say is it probably depends on the horse.
As usual, listeners, spot on with his advice. Carry on.
So if you've got the horse and you can fund it to get over here, I think then you do it. If you're talking about value of horses, you're looking at the moment, the value of a horse back in New Zealand is about potentially half that of the value of the horse in the UK, but then you've got the flights to get over here. So if you've got a horse of value in New Zealand and it makes sense to add the value of the flight to bring it over, then you're doing it. But if you do the math and the value of the flight's putting it up over top, then maybe it's time to sell up and shop over here. But what I will say about the UK horse market is competitive. If you're going to find a good deal over here, you got to work hard, in my experience.
Yeah, and what deals have you found so far, Brayden?
So what I did is I married my wife, and I said, you go for it.
Yeah.
So that's about it. So would you...
Good deal, well done.
Would you agree...
Great deal.
Knowing you why.
Would you agree, disagree, or other with that advice?
What was the advice?
Well, I'd hate to rake over the coals. But what was the question? It was...
do we bring the horse or do we sack the horse?
Do you bring the horse
from your experience?
From New Zealand, or do you sell it in New Zealand, come over here with hopefully some moolah and start again?
No, because New Zealand moolah means fuck all over here because you're playing double dollar.
So you're bringing your horse?
It depends on the horse. That's not a definitive answer.
I think
It depends on the circumstance. I'm hedging my bets.
Yeah.
I don't know the horse we're talking about.
I think we're just going to say that it's a unique to everyone.
Horses for courses.
Horses for courses.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Horses for courses.
Let's just move on to the next question.
Well,
shall
the
we?
next, should I say, is the last question, Nick. And if
We're up to 10 already?
We are up to 10.
We
If
are
I can
up to 10.
just take a moment to say how much I've enjoyed both of your company tonight.
Oh my God, are we wrapping up already?
No, Nick. Whoa.
We're at the final question.
Yeah.
We're coming into the last fence, and you got to stay switched on. It's not over. There's still a lot to do out there. But I just want to take a moment as we gallop along and just say, yeah, I've really enjoyed this tonight. So
yeah,
I mean, same.
Yeah, for a first.
And what a night for it.
Oh, beautiful.
Day for it.
Day for it.
Day for it.
How good.
Dave Ferret. Hey, my final question for you, Nick Brooks, is what does the next 5 years look like for Nick Brooks?
God only knows. It's an island of success and an ocean of despair, and I can only guess.
And that, true to character and true to eventing, really, is if I'm to
My life plan literally extends for 2 more weeks till the end of Mill Street, and then we'll see how that goes, and then we'll make a new one. So 5 years is way too far for me.
Let me tell you, if you're heading to Mill Street, you need to pack the golf clubs. There is a good little, 9-hole chip and putt course there.
How far's the chip?
I'll come along for mini golf, but nothing more.
Well, it's like a long mini golf course.
Yeah. You can't get lost.
It's probably a no for me, but I love that for you guys.
I have heard there is a Mill Street Open running this year, the Mill Street Open 2023.
Yeah, and what does that entail specifically?
Well, the organizer is sitting to your left, actually.
Hi there.
Love that for you.
Yeah,
and potentially for me, depending on what Open you're organising.
So it's a pretty basic concept: £50 buy-in, and anyone who's at the show can enter. And we're gonna have a quick little 9 holes, and winner takes all. So
yeah. Look, golf isn't really my thing, but I love that for you guys.
No, I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going?
No.
Do you not golf either?
No, absolutely. Well, I tried to golf, but I'm stuck in the country. Visas and all that kind of stuff.
I do know. Yeah.
I'm not going
So
anywhere.
You're not coming. Actually, unfortunately for Violet, she's not coming either. I didn't get a rabies jab in time, so you and Violet can hang out. And I think there's maybe a live stream. Is there a live stream?
Yeah,
I think Mill Street's got quite an extensive Facebook page, so
completely.
You and Violet could maybe watch together.
I think Brayden's got a camera up for the golf, so I'll definitely be tuning into that.
Violet will be,
she'll be there,
transfixed.
Yeah.
Well, very good, Nick. Hey, mate, we are winding up. That is the end of the 10 questions.
Yeah.
And the way we finish things up here at Eventing Weekly is what we do is. We've got a little outro, and what happens is in future episodes, once we've had some feedback, this is where we're going to insert some fan feedback. So what happens is, if you want to be a part of this, for everyone listening along, is jump on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, rate us 5 stars. That's part of it. You have to rate us 5 stars, and leave a piece of eventing advice, and then this part of the show is when we'll read those out. Does that make sense?
Genius.
Yeah. So you jump
I tuned out quite early into that.
I could see when you were looking at my Birkenstocks. But also they do look great.
Stunning.
So
They really did.
Yeah. Thanks.
You've got the same. Can you give me the other guy? The one from that.
For all of those listening along just through the audio medium, we have got our Birkenstocks.
What a fucking uniform.
on the shirt.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Look at this.
True to our roots.
Quality.
Yeah. I mean, it starts by looking good.
Yep.
I think that's
Nailed
actually
it.
Brayden's.
That
It's
is
smaller.
Brayden's.
Yeah.
Well,
It is.
you know, if you're talking about feet, you know.
Anyway.
Hey, so this is where we would insert our listener. You jump on Apple Podcasts, you rate 5 stars, you give us your piece of eventing advice, and we share them here. Because this is episode numero uno, we don't have any. So I thought what we could do is a quick whip around. And your one piece of eventing advice, that if you could just give one piece of advice to anyone listening along today about eventing, what would that be? And I'm going to start with my little co-host,
Little co-host
down
over here.
the end.
Oh, I'm happy to take over, Big Daddy.
Yeah, go for it, Mitchell.
So my one piece of eventing advice is actually going to come around to the show jumping.
Okay.
And
Yep.
how many rounds do you see? A lovely clear, and then they take down the last round.
Oh, too many in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So my piece of advice
You
is...
try fucking doing it, then it's really hard.
Well,
We've
listen to
been
his
over
advice.
this. So it's not... You just have to pretend that it's not the last fence. You've got another one after it. Because so many people are, oh, it's over the last, yeah, we're clear. Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah.
So you just got to think there's another one after that. And
So say,
Words to live
will
by,
come.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
Bear this in mind. Not just for 3-day eventing, 1-day eventing as well.
for show jumping.
Also
even.
just
For show
normal show
jumping.
jumping.
Yeah.
Rectory on a Thursday.
Shout out you show jumping purists.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
That's-
we accept fans from every discipline.
Nick, have you got some advice?
Hang in there. It's really hard.
is that eventing
Kick.
or life?
Kick.
Eventing is life.
It is.
How good.
You could put that in your slogan.
It is life. You've hit the nail on the head there.
And for me, my one piece of advice is,
Inside leg to outside rain.
you know,
Or outside leg to inside rain. Buck the trend.
I mean, as
Let the people know.
horses for courses. And but my piece of advice is, and it's something that I've gained through experience, really. No one's ever told me this.
Tell us.
I watch a lot of eventing and I see, you know, you go to the cross country and you're seeing people walking their course. They walk they count their strides.
We do that. Yeah. That's important.
You turn up to the show jumping, you see them walking the course and counting their strides.
Yeah.
What I don't see enough of is people turning up to the dressage and walking their test.
Do you know what? Actually, I once had a lesson with Charlotte Dujardin, and the main thing I remember from that
Big
is
fan of the show, by the way.
Huge shout out, Charlotte. Get
she's
it, mate.
listening now. Mostly she said that I was on the wrong diagonal, and then I actually lost my quarters as I went past the gate of the school and wiped my horse out on the thing, and it went lame. Anyway, but before we got to that, she did say that you're supposed to count your strides. Like how many strides of extended canter down the long side?
Yeah.
How many trot steps does a 10-meter circle take? Just putting it out there.
Well, I mean,
She knows her shit, to be fair.
I mean, it's to
She's
be
won
honest, Nick.
tons of stuff.
I'm
does,
listening
she
to
has.
you.
Quite a big island of success for Dujardin.
To be honest, Nick, I'm listening to you, and it's not surprise. Essentially,
As I was on the wrong, rising on the wrong diagonal.
No, I'm just saying that as a fellow expert in the sport, and I don't mean to, put my who am I to say that I'm at her level? That's not for me to say.
That outfit says you're
But-
at her level.
But
It's not Holland Cooper, but
what I can
Could be.
I have seen Brayden rise to the trot once before, and let me tell you,
yeah,
that boy knows what he's doing.
does he?
Oh, yeah.
Up,
Yeah.
down, up, down.
all I was going to say is and it's good advice and it's advice to live by. And so if people want to hear more advice like that, all they need to do is jump onto Apple Podcasts and
Are you guys on Apple? Is it that official?
We're on Apple, Spotify,
Apple-
wherever you get your podcasts.
What's the qualification for being on Apple? How tricky was that for you to get on? You just had to name drop me.
No, it is quite difficult for
It's,
your average sort of podcaster.
Yeah.
For me and Mitch, piece of piss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
breezed into
Get
it?
an outfit, get some sandals, straight onto Apple.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs doesn't care. He's gone.
Yeah. Well, shout out Steve Jobs. So, I mean, I think that's as good a place as any, really, to wind things up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Mitch,
I think
any final
I
words
think
from
we
you,
need to
Mitch?
I think we just need to cut this off and
Yeah,
get out
we've
of
had
here.
it. We've had a nice time.
Knock it on the head.
Here for a good time, not a long time.
Nick Brooks, thanks, mate.
Pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, I've got a.
The Houghton Hottie himself.
Should we?
Hey, Brayden.
Should we end with our intro?
Yeah,
'Cause-
let's
alright.
do it.
The
Why
intro.
not?
Yeah.
So
Well,
what's happened to the outro?
who needs one when you got Blythe Tate?
Hi, this is Blythe Tate, and you're listening to Eventing Weekly with Mitch and Brayden.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
A total pleasure.